Tell us a little more about the Falls of Clyde and its connection to the history of Hawaii.
Well, the falls was built in 1878 in Glasgow, Port Glasgow, Scotland, and it's named for one of the various waterfalls on the Falls of Clyde. And when she was first in service, she was under sail and sailed between Britain and the Far East, primarily India, carrying cargo. And it was about around the turn of the century that Captain Matson decided the ship was available and decided he wanted to start a fleet to provide service between the West Coast and Hawaii. So he bought Falls of Clyde, and it flew under actually the Hawaiian flag. He got permission from the U.S. to fly it under the Hawaiian flag, so it was flying under the Hawaiian and Matson flags for a short period of time. And it was the first of his, the Matson, what is now the Matson navigation fleet. So it has that proud history, carrying cargoes back and forth primarily between the Big Island and San Francisco area. When Matson sold the ship, went into, Matson Navigation obviously went into steamships, and sold the ship to Associated Petroleum, which continued to operate in Hawaii, continued to operate between the West Coast and the Big Island, primarily carrying petroleum into the state and carrying things like molasses, out from the cane fields out of state.
Wow,
and
out of state, and that would have been
from Hawaii to the mainland.
Wow,
and that was for several years in the early 1900s. And then, of course, she was sold and spent some time up in Alaska, and ended up on the West Coast. And it was in the early 1960s that it was sort of in a derelict condition, and was going to be sold to the city of Vancouver, Canada, to be sunk as a breakwater. So that was the first peril she was in, to be sunk. And of course, at that point in I think about 1963, she was actually saved by the people of Hawaii. Bob Krause and John Wright were two leaders in purchasing the ship to bring it over, because they saw the value of Falls of Clyde as a heritage symbol of the maritime history of Hawaii that was available. And even though obviously she had sailed in Hawaii, but beside that, over the years, since the time of Captain James Cook, there were sailing ships in and out. The whalers were sailing ships in and out. So sailing ship and Hawaii have a very, very long, historical link.
And this is why you felt so strongly about this. You actually proposed a resolution?
That's right, we did. And the good senator of my same district, Senator Chun Oakland, did the same on the Senate side, and we were able to pass. In fact, I've got it right here, and it did pass both houses. We're really happy about that. And would you like me to read part of it?
Sure.
Maybe I could share it with the audience. It's requesting the state to recognize the historical significance of the Falls of Clyde as a sailing symbol of Hawaii. And it talks about here the significance of sailing to the state of Hawaii is apparent by the existence of those who have braved the high seas. And archaeological evidence shows that the earliest people who arrived sailed double-hulled canoes. In the late 1770s, Captain Cook sailed from Europe to Hawaii, as well did the missionaries who sailed around Cape Horn in the 1800s. And the Falls of Clyde, built and launched from Port Glasgow, Scotland in 1878, sailing the seas as a trade ship, taking voyages to Karachi, did I pronounce that correctly? Australia, India, New Zealand, the British Isles, and California. In 1899, Captain William Matson, and that's of course just a name synonymous with shipping in Hawaii, purchased the Falls of Clyde, and it became the first four-mast ship to fly the Hawaiian flag. And in 1900, a special act of Congress allowed the ship to fly both the U.S. and the Hawaiian flags. And it serviced, as you were saying, carrying sugar from Hilo to San Francisco, returning with goods for Hawaii residents from California. And it served Hawaii and was, of course, we all know the beloved Bob Krause, right? Maritime Museum. And it was taken over. Bishop Museum took over management and docked it at, it was docked at Pier 5 and toured by tens of thousands of people and named a National Historic Monument, by the National Park Service in 1988. And thank goodness in 2008, under you, President Bruce McEwan and friends, the Friends of Falls of Clyde, was formed a nonprofit in order to save this special ship. And it has a wrought iron hull, 265 feet long, and weighs more than 1,000 tons. But this is the important thing I'm going to say. It's the only surviving, fully rigged four-mast sailing ship remaining in the world. In the world. I mean, we're not just talking about Hawaii anymore. We're not just talking about the U.S. or even the Western world. We're talking about the entire world. We have this jewel. And so in 2009 regular session, the 25th Legislature, State of Hawaii, concurring, both houses, that the Falls of Clyde is recognized as a historic symbol of Hawaii, that it should always be treasured and protected by the state of Hawaii and its residents. And certified copies of this is transmitted to the governor, the chair of Department of Land and Natural Resources, as well as the Bishop Museum and the Friends of Falls of Clyde. You know, so we've recognized that as the legislature.
Right.
So this is kind of an important first step in preserving the Falls of Clyde for everyone.